happen if we don't address it today.
Right now here on Good Morning Quad Cities, a proposed tax hike. The tax voters in Knox County will vote on coming up next week.
Plus, staying in business, what a four-star general says the Rock Island Arsenal needs to keep the island open.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into News 8's Good Morning Quad Cities at 4:30. I'm Jonathan Getz.
And I'm Angie Sharp. Thank you for joining us. Storm Track 8 meteorologist Eric Sorensen is not here. He's getting set up for this week's edition of Breakfast With. We'll tell you where he is and who he's sitting down with this morning in just a little bit.
First, though, let's take a look at the forecast right now.
Ooh.
Look at all the green coming through the Quad City area right now as rain is coming through. Taking a look at what we can see for later on today, more rain is on the way, as Eric has been saying. That is supposed to last for the next couple of days. The full forecast is coming up at 4:45 right here on Good Morning Quad Cities. All right, well, in President Donald Trump's first 100 days in office, President Trump's plan to increase defense spending could come at the expense of domestic programs. The president is proposing $18 billion in cuts as part of a spending bill to avoid a partial government shutdown. Those cuts would impact things like medical research and jobs programs. Lawmakers have until the end of April to vote on a new spending plan. A four-star general says the Rock Island Arsenal needs predictable and consistent funding to remain competitive and stay open. General Gus Perna is also encouraging new business partnerships outside of government contracts. News 8's John David shows us why the Arsenal workforce and its readiness could help ensure its long-term future.
It's time for Arsenal employees to show off. Their skills are a big selling point. That's as once reliable funding fades away.
Having a short-term budget hampers us. We need to have predictable and consistent funding.
Four-star General Gus Perna should know. He commands a global organization worth $50 billion. A chunk of that work takes place at the Arsenal.
I will ensure that the workload that we need to do to maintain equipment readiness will go to the right spots. I believe Rock Island plays a very important role in that.
Important because the Arsenal nearly closed for good in 2005. It must be ready for the next round of base closings.
It's about quality because our equipment goes on the battlefield, and it's about giving it to commanders when they ask for it.
That readiness may be the best insurance for the Rock Island Arsenal, plus having a strong workforce that's hard to beat.
You don't bring this type of workforce in overnight. They're trained, they're mature, they're experienced.
The Arsenal can strengthen with more public-private partnerships. They create a team approach involving the community while developing training and experience.
I think it makes us stronger. So I'm a big advocate of executing this, and I invite all of industry to be a part.
They're building a future with clear concepts.
We do it to the highest quality, and we do it on time.
Time now to deliver. John David, WQAD News 8.
President Trump says that he wants to boost defense spending by 10%. General Perna is glad the Army part of the discussions.
Iowa Governor Terry Branstad wants even more cuts to next year's spending after already cutting millions, hundreds of millions of dollars from this year's budget. The governor's office released a revised budget plan that cuts $173 million from the budget he proposed 2 months ago. It calls for $86 million less for the Department of Health and Human Services and $58 million in cuts to the Department of Education. Earlier this month, the governor borrowed $131 million from Iowa's cash reserves to pay this year's bills. The plan is to start to repay that money. Workers in Lee County, Iowa could get a raise after a vote to raise the minimum wage, but it may not last for long. On Tuesday, the county's Board of Supervisors passed an ordinance to raise the minimum wage to $8.20 an hour. That's nearly $1 more than the current statewide $7.25 an hour. The raise is supposed to go into effect May 1st. However, a bill currently sits on the governor's desk that would roll back that increase and any others set by counties or cities and set a statewide minimum wage of $7.25.
And the state coming in and preempting us from doing these, to my opinion, is not a step in the right direction, and it limits what we can do in the county.
If Governor Branstad signs the bill, it would roll back increases in Lee, Johnson, Polk, Lynn, and Wapello counties.
The plan for Viking cruises to come to Davenport may have hit a snag. We gave you an update on the story during our Breakfast With segment just a couple months ago. A couple years ago, Davenport announced it had been working with a European-based company to dock in Davenport as part of the company's Mississippi River Tour. Joe Taylor with the Quad Cities Convention and Visitors Bureau told Good Morning Quad Cities that was supposed to happen this year. Now, though, a federal law from 1920 is stopping Viking cruises. The Jones Act requires any boat navigating in the U.S. waterways to be owned by an American company. Vessels must be built in the U.S. and crewed by U.S. citizens. Mayor Frank Klipsch says the company working to find a way to comply with the law.
So they said, don't plan on anything right now because there's still work to be done. There's no boats that have been built. There's no routes or anything that have been even determined, but they are still interested. The company is still committed and wants to continue to pursue cruising on the Mississippi.
The tour is supposed to stop in Davenport 19 times a year and bring close to 400 passengers to Davenport each and every visit.
Election Day in Illinois is less than a week away, and next Tuesday, voters in Knox County will have the choice to vote yes or no for a new tax. News 8's Elizabeth Wattis tells us who that tax could help and why supporters say it's needed now more than ever before.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, he looks cute. Good job.
That's Hannah Bradburn and her best friend Mallory.
Oh, look at how cute he looks.
That is cute.
The two are supposed to be helping Hannah's mom at work. But laughter is contagious when they're together.
My best friend is Michael and Shannon and there's Derek.
It's like that with all the friends she's met at a summer camp in Knox County for people with disabilities.
She has some fine motor delays, so working with her hands is hard for her to do.
Hannah's mom worries if a new Knox County tax isn't passed.
I would be afraid that services such as Camp Kids would no longer be available.
Keep playing different games though too.
But by voting yes, Knox County voters can support the camp and other services for people like Hannah. The tax also benefits programs for people with mental health issues or substance abuse problems.
It'll be the second lowest tax rate on your tax bill.
Let's take a homeowner of a $60,000 house. They would pay $30 extra a year. Supporters say because of the Illinois budget crisis,
Declining funding, increasing need, it's a train wreck waiting to happen if we don't address it today.
it's more important now than ever to pass this tax.
It impacts us personally in our home with Hannah. And the disabilities she has, but I also in my lifetime here have known friends and family members that have utilized other services that the tax will be able to provide for.
Keeping that contagious laugh coming long into the future. In Galesburg, Illinois, Elizabeth Wattis, WQAD News 8.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Mark Rudolph says the tax is common in Illinois. He actually says all counties that border Knox County already have something similar in place, with the exception of Stark County.
Police are expected to release more information today after a police shootout that left one man dead in Stockton, Illinois. Around noon yesterday, police responded to a report of a suspicious vehicle in Joe Daviess County. When they arrived, they found 3 men outside of the car. Police say that's when one of the men pulled a gun and started firing. One officer returned fire, hitting and killing the gunman. Police aren't saying what may have motivated the shooting, but say it all happened as they started taking one of the men into custody.
As far as dangerous, they were in the process of taking one person into custody when the confrontation occurred. Outside of that, the rest is all still under investigation.
The 2 other men were taken into custody without incident. State police will handle the investigation and are expected to release more information today. The gunman's name has not been released.
A fugitive on the most wanted list by the U.S. Army was captured in Iowa. U.S. Marshals say Daryl Grigsby was arrested in Dyersville on Tuesday after 17 years on the run. He was facing charges including assault and attempted rape. Investigators say Grigsby used several different names over the years and told neighbors he was a karate instructor and minister from Chicago. But at least one neighbor says she's been skeptical since the beginning.
Well, I kind of figured there was something screwy with him, because if he's a minister in Chicago, then why isn't he doing it? Why is he here?
Investigators have not said how exactly they figured out he was using a fake name and living in Dyersville, or why he chose to move to that specific community.
Still to come right here on Good Morning Quad Cities. Secrets out.
The special Starbucks menu item that's off their secret list now, and why people who love the drink says it helps cure the common cold.